Hi, welcome to Living Your Limitless Life. I'm Kayleigh Kennedy, business and mindset coach, mom, and your no BS guide to breaking through the stories holding you back. This podcast is your space to get real, get inspired, and get moving. Each week, I'll share the mindset shifts, strategies, and stories that have helped me and my clients build lives and businesses that feel as good as they look. If you're ready to stop playing small and start living big, you're in the right place. Let's go. Hello, welcome back to Living Your Limitless Life. I'm Kayleigh Kennedy, self-sabotage coach and speaker, and today I am going deep on something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and it's honestly something that I see misunderstood in the entrepreneurial space. That is visibility. And now, before you tune out, because you've heard the word visibility 1,000 times, I want you to stick with me because what I want to talk about today is not what most people are talking about when they talk about visibility. This isn't about posting more. This isn't about showing up on Instagram every day or cracking the algorithm or finding the perfect content strategy. What I want to talk to you about is the full picture, the whole puzzle, because visibility is not just one thing, it's many things. And most people are doing only one piece of that puzzle and wondering why it's not working. So let's start with the puzzle. When I look around at entrepreneurs who are trying to grow their businesses and expand their reach, I see the same pattern over and over. Sometimes they post, sometimes they show up on social media, they put content out sometimes, and then they stop. And look, I'm not saying this to be critical. I know a lot of people genuinely aren't aware that posting is just one piece of a much bigger picture. Some people, and this is worth sitting with, some people are very aware that there is more to do, but they still hide behind the content. They stay busy with the visible surface level activity because it feels like just enough. It feels like showing up, it feels like doing the work, and doing more of the thing they're already comfortable with is a lot easier than doing the things that actually stretch them and get them outside of their comfort zone. But this is what I want you to understand about visibility. True visibility is a puzzle and it has a lot of pieces. Yes, there's your content, but there's also networking. There's being known in your community and the space in which you work. There's relationship building, actually having real conversations, making meaningful connection, not just surface level interactions that go nowhere. There's engaging. Yes, commenting, responding, showing up in other people's spaces. There's direct outreach, there's collaborations, there's being present in rooms, both on and offline, where your people actually are. Now, I'm not saying all of these things to overwhelm you. I promise that is not the point. The point is that because of so much of this is behind the scenes marketing, it's stuff that doesn't get seen enough. This is the stuff that doesn't get likes. This is the stuff that doesn't show up in your analytics. And a lot of people aren't even aware that it all needs to happen. All of these pieces of the puzzle need to be in play. The gap between what you're doing now and what's available to you is where growth is hiding. So I want to talk about the real reason why you may not be doing it. Now, some of you may be showing up on all the spaces and still stick with me because there could still be a belief, there could still be a story which is still blocking you from getting to your next level goal. But I see this more often than I don't is the reason why people aren't doing all the things that they know they need to do to grow their business. It's never actually an activity problem. It's not actually going to do the thing. You might create stories around, oh, all of these things are so overwhelming, so I'm not going to do any, but they also don't have to be overwhelming. That is a belief. This is a mindset issue. This is a belief problem. I want to give you an example that I talk a lot about in my sales trainings when I'm brought into organizations to do sales trainings with their team. Because I often hear, how do I get my team to be motivated to do the things, to do the direct outreach, to be building those relationships and doing the things that they might not be doing at this moment? There is a lot of people have a block around direct messaging, around reaching out or initiating that conversation, cold calling, going door to door, whatever that looks like for you. And I think in the online space, it's less cold calling, less door to door, but it's still direct outreach. When I dig into this with people, there is a story underneath this activity. And that story that people are telling themselves is, I don't want to bother people, or some iteration of I don't want to bother people. That story, that belief feels really reasonable on the surface, right? It feels considerate and polite. But what is actually happening is that there's a story coming from your own experience or your own associations or your own perception of what it feels like to be on the receiving end of something unwanted. Think, used car salesman or telemarketer mindset or that kind of image or perception that I know a lot of people my age or a lot of, I think we're called elder millennials now, kind of grew up with that idea that or you've been in that kind of pushy sales conversation. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, my guess is you're not selling something and trying to convince people of anything. You are genuinely trying to help and serve people. Okay. So this is a whole different conversation from like the bro marketing or high pressure sales tactics. But there's still a story around that not wanting to bother people or not wanting to be seen as a pushy salesperson. And that's general discomfort with being seen as someone who wants something, not someone who's here to serve. Okay? So there's the difference. Maybe you've had that experience with someone who I call it commission breath, but you don't have commission breath, but you still hold on to the story from the people who did and that experience. So you project that experience onto your own outreach and you actually stop before you even start. So this is the reframe, okay? You're likely not a telemarketer. You are an entrepreneur. You are a business owner. You are someone who has something genuinely valuable to offer. Reaching out isn't bothering people. It's a service. It's customer service. It is a customer service interaction before the customer even knew that they needed you. It's giving someone the opportunity to find the thing that they've been looking for. So when you actually flip the story, that activity changes, but it all starts with your beliefs and your perception around it. This is true for every piece of the visibility puzzle that you've been avoiding. So maybe it's not the DMs for you. Maybe it's showing up on video. Maybe it's networking in person. Maybe it's pitching yourself for speaking opportunities or podcast guest spots. Whatever it is, the block is not the activity itself. The block is the belief or the perception that you hold around the activity. Underneath most of these beliefs, if you go deep enough, you will find the same root story. And that story is tied to your self perception, not your perception of the experience or the activity, but your perception of yourself. Maybe that sounds like that I am not enough, or I'm not worthy, or I don't know enough yet, or who am I to put myself out there like that, or a million other stories that I've heard in my 5.5 years of coaching business owners. That story that self perception story is the story that's actually running the show. It's not your strategy. It's not the time. It's not the overwhelm of doing all of the things. It's that one story. And that belief that you hold about yourself is keeping you small and keeping you hidden. It is keeping you from being in those rooms where your ideal clients are or building the meaningful relationships that are going to turn into beautiful and abundant referral opportunities. So, the last piece of the puzzle that I want to talk to you about today, and this, I know this one doesn't get discussed enough, and it's the ability to handle because this is another reason people don't do the full visibility work and work with every piece of the puzzle. This one's sneaky. They're not doing it because they're trying to avoid rejection before they've even been rejected. They're protecting themselves from the no before the no even happens. So you don't pitch for speaking opportunities because what if they say no? You don't send the DMs because what if that person isn't interested? You don't put yourself out there fully because what if people don't respond the way that you hope and the way that you want them to respond? Here is the truth that we all need to hear more of. You will hear the word no. You will hear the word no over and over as an entrepreneur and a business owner and a salesperson. That's just the reality of putting yourself out there. You are going to get ignored. You are going to be misunderstood. You are going to get rejected. You are going to pitch things that don't land. You're going to reach out to people who don't respond, and you're going to show up in rooms where nothing immediately comes out of it. That is the process. It's not failure, it's the process. The no is always on the way to the yes. You cannot skip it. You cannot strategy your way around it. The only way to get the yes is to be willing to go through the no first. And if you don't have the internal strength to handle the no, if rejection feels like confirmation of every story that you've been telling yourself about not being enough, then the fear of no will keep blocking you from the this is a direct mirror of how you see yourself. Your ability to handle rejection and to not take it personally and to pick yourself up and keep going. That is a direct reflection of your self perception. That is why I say you cannot outperform your BS, and your self perception is your BS because it is your belief system. It lives in your subconscious mind and it controls everything that you do inside and outside your business. This reflection of your self perception is a reflection of your confidence right now, your courage right now, or how deeply you own your voice, your value, and your right to take up space right now. It actually has nothing to do with what you are capable of and how big your confidence and your courage can grow and how bold you can create your voice. It is just the image that you're behaving from, that you're showing up from right now. And it can be changed. This is the identity work. This is subconscious reprogramming. This is the thing that has to shift underneath everything before the activity on top feels possible, feels easy, feels natural, feels confident. So, this is what I want you to take away from this episode. Visibility is a puzzle, and there are so many pieces, and you're probably doing some of them. Maybe you're doing some of them really well, but there are pieces that you are avoiding and pieces that feel very uncomfortable or too risky or just not like you. And I want you to get really honest with yourself and ask yourself why. Is it because you genuinely don't have enough time? Is it because there's a belief underneath it that's making the activity feel impossible? It's not time. We've all heard this. We have the same 24 hours in a day. When you work on your self perception and your identity, you can become way more effective and efficient with your time. Does your strategy not feel right? Or is it because putting yourself out there means that you're risking being seen? And being seen means risking rejection or being misunderstood. That rejection means coming face to face with every story you've ever told yourself about not being enough. In my experience, it's almost always that story. And the answer is never more strategy. Yes, we need to be working in every piece of this puzzle, but the answer is going to the root and shifting the belief. Doing that identity work allows you to show up in every piece of the puzzle with confidence and courage and the certainty that your voice matters and that people need to hear it. That's energy, and that is magnetic energy. You are allowed to take up space, all of it, and not just the parts that are comfortable, because it's the uncomfortable parts right now, which are the gateway to all of the things that you desire in your business. The full visibility puzzle is the networking, the relationships, the conversations, the outreach, the rooms you haven't walked into yet. And it is all available to you when the belief underneath catches up to the action on top. That is the work. And as always, it is so worth it. It ripples into every area of your life. Trust me, I know. So if this episode landed for you, if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share it. Leave a review if this show has been valuable to you because it genuinely helps more people find this space. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, I have resources in the show notes to get you started, or you can come find me over on Instagram at the Kayleigh Kennedy, and we can continue this conversation in the DMs. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to Living Your Limitless Life. If you loved this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. It would mean the world to me. Plus, it helps more people find my show and we can create a bigger impact together. Until next time, keep dreaming big, taking bold action, and remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. See you next time.